Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Shelf. It's episode number 3. There's no such thing as a slow news week. And to corroborate this, I have codename Oral Fixation here. It's at Squid CS. He's here with me.
Thank you very much for leaking my personal life.
Yeah.
I've spent the week in London, so much very on brand.
Yeah, there you go, of course. So, what do you have for us today, Squid, then? Because obviously there's a couple of new things that are on the shelf this time around. The centerpiece being Akuma. I did say I was going to clarify why. So I talked to you about that before we went live. It bears repeating that Akuma have been at the center of quite the number of controversies. And just because of the absolute shit show it has stirred, they're back in there. They are in there for the first time, but obviously Epic Land was in there before. We're not going to really muddy the waters and once again talk very heavily at length about all the different ways that the CIS minor was completely fucked. But there's some news stories we can quickly follow up on, give our takes on, and maybe bring up some details nobody else knows or that slipped through the cracks. And the reason why Akuma being front and center makes sense for this particular show is it's basically just a wrap up of the previous show. So there's a little bit of that coming at you. And then after that, we'll get to Paramatch No Odds, the European Development Championship, ESIC, the Score Esports, and we'll figure out how to tie all that into a neat little bow. So there you go. You're teased for the future if you're listening in now. So did you have anywhere to start with any of the Akuma follow-ups? Because obviously you sent me a few things here and there, but I was curious as if anything really leapt off the page from like what ESIC put out between this show and the previous one that we did, and obviously what some of the other interviews that came out with and sort of responses to ESIC in the first place. Anything in particular jump off the page?
I think this revelation with the Akuma CEO, this Project X CEO, it turns out was betting on the games that Akuma were playing in, where they had favorable results. These were against teams like Na'Vi and Virtus.pro. Obviously, this should go without saying. I think we actually talked about this on a previous show as well. If you are affiliated with a team, if you have insider knowledge, if you're casting a tournament, you should not be betting on any games whatsoever. Valve have made this very clear. Casters have been fired from tournaments, which is incredibly rare, it turns out, for betting on games in said tournaments. It's unbelievable that anybody would even defend themselves when this has come out. This guy, his name is Alexander Shishko, probably butchering that name, but who gives a fuck? He's butchered the CIS scene, hasn't he, this cunt? He says that he bets on loads of games. He's got thousands of bets. So he's admitting to the crime right there. And people will still jump to his defense and say, oh, there's no solid evidence on Akuma. And one of those people who will jump to their defense very rapidly without any sort of motive by the looks of things, but I assume that there might be some motive there, is the EDC, who we previously worked for. We'll talk about them later. I can't be bothered to talk about them right this second. But this article was interesting. You're scrolling through it now. He basically admits to the buffet of abuse right here in this article. So it's unbelievable that anybody would go about defending him. The most unreasonable thing as well is he's seemingly using these admissions in his defense. The kind of Trump method of, okay, right, if I do it out in the open, nobody's going to call me out or prosecute me or say anything about this, but they should be. This is an outrageous interview. This guy should have kept his mouth shut, to be honest.
The fact that nobody seems to have picked up on this as well, maybe it's partially because it's very clear there's a bit of a language barrier going on where he's, I did not get rich cosmically, you know, shit like that, where it's like clearly we're hearing this secondhand, or it's a very like poor man's English. He's just structuring his sentences together. I don't know the origin of that, if it's ran through other filters or if this is some Google Translate output, but the core takeaway from it is that there is admission of betting when he's clearly involved in the space. And that is, okay, well, there's an anecdote that I can give where I was, obviously people kept asking, like, why Simple didn't end up leaving Na'Vi those years ago when Na'Vi, Simple and Flamey were tied to an MIBR SK Gaming shuffle, I think back when they were still with SK Gaming, in fact. And Flamey even he was apparently at the airport, right, ready to go. Simple, on the other hand, was a little preoccupied, shall we say. And the reason why I share this anecdote is because things just work differently in the CIS scene, man. Things that seem so obvious to us, from the more English-speaking Anglo-Saxon West, the people who are in that Western European, the people who are in America and NA in general. These kinds of customs, the way that business is done, it's very different when you cross that border. So what gets me about this whole thing is that you basically have completely different ideals for business happening. And Valve, obviously, as the developer of the game, they did exercise a little bit of their power, at least in theory, by saying, like, you can't have Academy rosters and you can't do the XYZ in our circuit or whatever. We can't have exclusivity and we can't have this and that. Can't have shared ownership. Well, we saw how that didn't stop Epic Land from running a tournament, despite owning the same owners of VP. We saw the fact that
League.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, sure, yeah. And then obviously we saw that. What was the other one? The fact that the Academy rosters galore in the CIS scene for years. Literally, like, they didn't even skip a beat when Valve made that statement that obviously disbanded Fnatic Academy, North Academy, all of these different things. And eventually we just had those rosters back. We had Astralis talent. We had, insert, Young Ninjas or whatever. Like, we eventually teams just started to do it because it became obvious that Valve wasn't going to enforce the rule that they had laid out, because the CIS squads just stared blankly at them and continued doing the crime, so to speak, you know what I mean, in Valve's eyes. And at that point, Valve didn't do anything to stop it. This is what I'm saying is it's very different when you cross that border, and they just carry themselves differently. Here, they'll just admit, bold face, yeah, we bet on all of our games. We bet on, I've thousands of bets, whatever the quote was. Like, yeah, sure, we bet all the time. Even if it's only a one-off occurrence, by the way, it's still bad. But the fact that he's just admitting that he's doing it all the time should really be a cause for concern, in my opinion. So the fact that we have found ourselves at this juncture so soon after the initial ruling, and the fact that he also has that line where he says, like, ESIC are attempting to put facts under their report, I assume means they're, like, putting whatever their narrative is or whatever their ruling or their theory is, that is, they value that more than they value what the facts actually bear out. The point is, there's not really any way that you can prove an injustice. But what you can do is look at all of the evidence and make up your own mind what seems the most likely. And just like it seems the public perception is turning on the those home sweet home cups and stuff that have morphed into the sweet seasonal things that Relog and Grid are doing, people are starting to realize that, oh, there actually is no effort put into the broadcast. Oh, there's not even effort put into the scheduling, and you get 10 a.m. matches and stuff like this, like memes that people mocked at the beginning of the year with Stewie 2K complaining about it, but then now it's just the way it is. At these tier 2 levels. As that's happening, people are starting to realize that, oh wait, the CIS scene also is full of these complete phonies and these things that we just shouldn't even be in the scene. It's illegitimate. And the problem is, when there's so many of those happening, the more we get down this line, the less people are going to even give a shit, right? Everybody, if you've been putting the pieces together, right? We've got a CEO of the squad, right? A CEO in the CIS scene saying, I bet on my matches. I bet on matches with this team and with that team, whatever. I bet theoretically I have insider information, right? I'm literally the CEO of a team inside this. So I'm running the show here, and I'm able to put off all this stuff. I can do this, that, and by the way, don't worry. ESIC don't have any facts to back up their theory. It's just a theory, guys, that I might be corrupt. That's happening in the CIS scene. Obviously, the whole minor seems to have been, if not deliberately corrupt, it was corrupt by way of incompetence through the whole way through. There's so many issues, not just the betting patterns or whatever. Then obviously people are, like I just mentioned, talking about the tier 2 European teams, the Snow Sweet Snows of the world. And NA has been reeling for match fixing issues in fucking Premier, previously known as MDL, for so long, so much so that I would speculate, I actually haven't seen if this was the reason why, or if there's been any comment. There's probably a reason why Mountain Dew doesn't sponsor that league anymore, guys. I'm just gonna say, it's no fucking coincidence that there's threats of reports of literally exposing the entire league and a bunch of players within it. That, maybe that's something we shouldn't associate our brand with. So we're no longer calling it ESEA MDL. We're no longer going to be named sponsors of this league that's about about to be, they thought at the time, naively, it was about to be, harangued by eSig. So at this point, like, what isn't sacrosanct in at tier 2? What is there? Like, is there anything legitimate in tier 2? Is there anything legitimate at all? Because if there's nothing there, there's nothing holding everything else from the top. Like, people were getting really upset by the fact that NA was being destroyed by, like, a tier 2 and tier 3 people are just leaving me for Valorant. They're getting banned or whatever. They're like, the threats are there. So they can't, like, no, there's no investment. There's nothing at all. Everybody's going to Valorant. Everybody's going somewhere else. That's happening in a different way to the whole scene, to CIS and to the wider European scene. If we lose that, then we literally have nothing holding up the top, and eventually there's no other talent to filter out. Like, basically every team becomes Fnatic, where nobody can even find any extra players to supplement the veterans, and then you just get fucked. So that's what I see on the cards. It's obviously like, maybe it is doomsday prophecies that don't end up holding up. But what do you make of all this? Because obviously I just blabbed for a while, but this is just some of the things that are occurring to me right now as I put all the pieces together, where CIS is compromised. Obviously, European stuff, like the broader strokes, European regional ranking stuff seems to be pretty compromised as well. Not at tier 1. There's no evidence to suspect that, really, but certainly at tier 2. And then obviously NA is like, well, we're just fucked forever. So what do you make of this?
I think that you're absolutely right. It's something I've been talking about for a couple of months since I sent my now infamous, since it was in the Score Esports video, letter to Relog Media in January, where I basically say, I've said this a lot, Pr0nogo. When people lose interest in the broadcasts, which at tier 2, they almost exclusively have, like wholeheartedly, viewers have just lost interest in these tournaments. Prize pools, yeah, they're going up, but viewing numbers and legitimate viewer numbers, namely, is going down in a massive, massive way. It seems like the only people watching these select leagues are bettors, and basically nobody watching that for entertainment purposes, which wasn't the case back 2-3 years ago when I was casting the majority of the tournaments that I did in my career. And obviously you were covering esports in some sort of way as well, and actually as an avid fan.
Yeah, sure.
Lots of the casters who actually work these tournaments would never be seen dead watching their own leagues. It's embarrassing. These aren't entertainment products. And when you lose that, you only have the betting to fall back on. And guess what? When that loses integrity and either gets regulated because it's so fucking corrupt, you can see obviously the FBI is stepping in right now for North America. When governments start to kind of get their claws into these tournaments and the actual ecosystem that we've got running here, they're not going to be as easy as an eSig. It will be prison time, not just for a couple of players and a couple of ringleaders here and there. It will be everybody involved will be slapped. This is what happens in sports. Criminal authorities always make an example of these people. That's the precedent. But it's because we've got such a young and stupid market that people don't realize this. They don't realize the consequences of their actual actions. Whereas match fixing is a much greater crime than cheating. You get a VAC ban, you're not going to fucking prison, are you? If you match fix and take a couple of £1,000, you might actually do 6 months in the clink, or a couple of years if this looks like you're actually kind of instigating this and being some sort of ringleader. You're actually going to get some serious time inside for these actual crimes. And to know that organizations are kind of at the helm of this CEO, this Alexa fella, what was his fucking name?
I think it was
Alexander, great. The fact that you've got CEOs now being embroiled in this will be looked at by authorities. eSig have an obligation to pass this on to local police, international police, and whether it's dealt with seriously, you never really know, but he's literally admitted to the crime in an interview. And when we start connecting that with the alleged cheating, which seems very obvious, before the betting came out, before any allegations that they were betting in their own games, people were pretty convinced that this team was involved, they were at least embroiled in this. And then when you find out that the motive wasn't just the minimum amount of RMR points, instead the betting, then you start to really uncover why they might have done this. Is it pressure from the CEO? These aren't exactly star players who are getting picked up by Na'Vi tomorrow, Darian. So they need the money, and to pay salaries, we've heard it before in esports, a lot of the time management will kind of force you to match fix, or at least put a lot of pressure on you to match fix certain games. And whether that's done by intentionally losing or cheating to win is the less common path really taken. But then when you combine that with the fact that you could actually get to a major and that there's no anti-cheat for this entire tournament, then it starts to make a lot more sense. So this is basically, in my opinion, the final piece of the puzzle. Now, Darian, it goes to Valve, our favorite company, who always take initiative when something like this happens in a timely and authoritarian Oh, no, they don't. They don't do shit about any of these things. They banned 10 players once, 5 fucking years ago. And since, they've barely done anything when there's been very, very accurate evidence provided by ESIC. Isn't that sad that we've had to almost create our own authority and our own body because Valve are so disinterested? Unless they get slapped with a class action lawsuit, they've got nothing to say about anything. And I get into calls with casters, Darian, and they say, oh, there's been an update in the last couple of days. I finally got faith. But these are the most baby-faced people ever who have no experience whatsoever. And it's so sad to see people get sucked in by the promise of Valve doing anything. You know what? Starladder came out with this statement today saying that Akuma is going to be invited to the next RMR event. I don't think Valve are going to do anything about every single CIS RMR team complaining in an open letter about this. We've all seen this letter. We've talked about it on this podcast. Every other podcast out there, the ones that are worse than this one, have also talked about this letter. Everybody in the scene knows about it, and I don't believe that Valve are going to do anything whatsoever. So let's get on to Starladder, because obviously they've made a bad decision today.
Yeah.
This is combined, isn't it, with stricter anti-cheating methods about how they provide data to data partners and how they're going to do all of this stuff. But isn't it sad that we have an RMR event where the majority of betting sites out there will not allow bets on one of the teams at an RMR event? Surely that should be the point where Valve get involved and say, okay, well, it's going to affect viewership, it affects integrity, it affects pretty much everything from the top to the bottom. So maybe we should do something about it now. Nope. They won't.
What gets me about this whole thing is you have every grounds to believe that Akuma is whether you believe or not, and the fact that, hold on, let me take a step back. I got to compose myself here, because this really floored me when you
ridiculous.
Me this earlier. So let me take a set. Redo. We'll cut that out. We won't, but we'll cut that out. Akuma have so much evidence against a case that they did not cheat, even though we can't technically prove it. If you believe, even giving them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they didn't, you still have to take into account that the betting sites don't give a fuck. They're not allowing bets on that team. Not after what happened before. Not after they had to refund and say, no accusations, just a gift, or whatever fucking Russian, Google Translate happened that day. What gets me about the Akuma invite is that you probably are. You by the rules, you probably do have to, because of the way that Akuma was going to get an invite, right? So, that was what the 5th place decider insanity was in the previous tournament by Epic League, where obviously they had to force the scheduling, even though the teams decided that they would just try to legislate themselves, vigilante justice, you know what I mean? And then that was when Valve stepped in, of course, which is hilarious, because that really is like the law, you've just been beaten up, mugged, abused verbally and physically, and it's threatened, maybe with an inch of your life. You've been starved in your own basement for weeks or whatever, and then Batman comes in and beats up the criminal, and then the cop walks up and shoots Batman. That's basically what that was. I'm not saying Batman acted in it. Maybe Batman even was threatening to kill the guy and becoming his own worst enemy. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. The point is, even if the vigilantes weren't entirely within the realm of reason, and we shouldn't have allowed that either, the fact that that's the only thing the fucking authority did was stop the vigilante instead of stopping the whole thing is pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. So the other thing that obviously, this is the same reason why ESIC is back up here again on the shelf, is that with a general lack of communication that seems to be a running thread through ESIC, their fall from grace, as well as Valve in general, is please open up at least a little bit and tell us what you're doing. Tell us that you're doing anything. If you're not doing anything, if you think this is totally fine, Valve, then I would like to know. I think the community should know that you believe that this is a fine situation, because I can't surmise that you do. I assume that you're doing something, right? Because, 14 out of the 16 teams at the event, petitioned you to, take a look at this and investigate Akuma and what was going on there. And then the CEO admits to the crime in an interview. And then, yada, 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 so on and so forth. The dominoes start to fall. But what gets me is that we still don't even know if they're going to do anything, Squid. We have no conception of what they might or might not do. And this is a Valve, maybe not funded tournament, but certainly a Valve involved tournament where they are going to be handing out those RMR points. And Starladder, I mean, they have certainly had some questionable decisions back, especially you think back to like what Thorin was talking about, as well as Richard Lewis on By the Numbers many, many moons ago now, when they were talking about Starladder being late with talent payments and whatnot. But, there's one thing to one side. This is going to be a completely new level to their fuckery if they end up going down this road and in essence supporting this. Now, if they made a public announcement that said, like, there is an investigation going on or something, I mean, maybe they're not at liberty to say, but even Starladder, like, their reputation is obviously on the line here for inviting these guys, and they're getting clowned on Twitter for it, as they rightfully should, to be honest. But if they're playing along with this sort of like, I gotta play along with the mob boss before I can, take him out from a discreet location, if they're like playing the long con to get this guy at the end, then I'm in full support of them if they can communicate that. But I can't fucking magically like write a film plot in my head and then supplant that over reality and pretend that that's what's happening so that I can feel better about the scene. This looks to me like it's just to continue, like they're just going to get off scot-free from any potential crime that they allegedly may or may not have committed in a video game, in reality. And then nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. We're just going to have to say, because the thing is, what you get out of this is that the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Well, there's a lot of that going around in the CS scene, specifically in the CIS scene of the CS scene. And when you get into those rabbit holes of trying to figure out what exactly is going on in one particular region, or even in the game at large, as we just mentioned before, you can start to think some real cynical thoughts and get real disinterested real quick. And I gotta say, like, I haven't watched anything in the last couple of weeks because I've been just so disinterested. Part of it is I've been doing other things, but even when have some leisure time and a game happens to be on, I just choose not to engage. And that's not any dig on ESL or Flashpoint or Blast or whoever happens to be running the tournament that day that I might be interested in watching. Because as you mentioned earlier in the show, Squid, that goes without saying, I'm not interested in watching any of the tier 2 stuff in terms of their broadcasts. But the tier 1 stuff is usually competent enough that I can get into it and I can watch a game and I can enjoy it. But there's just been no drive to it. There's no reason why. Why would I want to watch the best teams in the world if I know that they can show up to some, tier 2 European Cup, shit the bed against Copenhagen Flames, one of the best teams in the world, and then just get fucked and then you never see them again? Like, that's literally what happened with Gambit. And it's like, if you're going to believe that was a 2-0 and like, it's just too convenient. Like, the fact that I even have to think about whether or not it was a throw or was some fucking thing, like what happened there, like that I even have to think, because obviously it couldn't doesn't necessarily have to be that one of the teams, the favorite, like literally threw. It could be that somebody fucked with their internet. Oh yeah, sorry, but we have the strict schedule we have to play, so go on. Like, it could have been an NIP Anonymous rematch situation where like you could start to think maybe that does happen to not just NIP but to all sorts of people. Like, again, you start to think very conspiratorially. But at this point, like, what the fuck is what else is there to think? Like, we've literally just seen what seems to be a huge amount of doubt cast over the results of a major qualification stage. And this is before we even get into the whole idea of the major has to bang, right? This is like a narrative we hear. Richard Lewis brought this up again on his recent By the Numbers. Like, this is something that you have to think about. Oh, if the major doesn't go very well with viewer numbers and, engagements or whatever, like, where does that leave the CS space? Is it going to be as apocalyptic as Richard prophesizes? Is that going to be the real thing? I don't know. I can't say, but I can certainly say it would be bad for the major to do poorly. And I don't see how it does well if I can't even get excited to watch literally the best teams in the world, theoretically anyway. Like, we assume shadow boxing, that VP, Gambit, Na'Vi, some of these are amongst the top 10 teams in the world. Maybe not VP anymore, but contenders for all of those spots. And the fact that I'm not even interested, I have no interest, because you know what? They might rock up and lose 0-2 to Copenhagen Flames, and I just don't want to watch that game. You know what I mean? Like, this is where we find ourselves at the like end stage of most of these things, where the money gets so tight because the sponsorships dried up. You have to rely on betting to do it. And then what happens when you rely on betting? You got to rely on the integrity of the games. And if that's compromised and demonstrably compromised, which that is inarguable in the CIS case,
yeah,
then what the fuck do you do? Like, where do you go from here? So where do you go from here, Squid? I'll throw it back to you.
There's not much wiggle room, really. Compare this to real sports.
Yeah.
When you have this sort of a scandal in football or basketball or MMA or boxing, the people responsible get banned either for life or hefty bans of 3, 5+ years. They get kicked out of the sport, usually for life, and we can now watch the games in peace and in the knowledge that, okay, well, at least this fight that I'm watching, this match that I'm watching is legit. We can't do that anymore. That sucks your enjoyment out of it as an entertainment product, and it sucks the money out of it as a betting product, because why do you want to put your money into a fixed game unless you're the Project X CEO, of course? Then you'd be putting all of your money, all of the lots of money that he's supposedly made, not in betting or not in esports or whatever the fuck he said. This is the big problem that we're facing in CSGO right now. You're combining the fact that the broadcasts are not interesting with the fact that these matches do not have integrity. And that's the kind of brutal cocktail that's got CSGO in a chokehold, and that is why the viewers are going down, despite what everybody's saying. At Tier 1, yes, it's staying sturdy, but this is what we saw with Epic League, right? Some of the biggest games in the tournament, the best teams in the world, and not Copenhagen Flames, with 8,000 viewers. That's it. That's what happens when you combine a shit broadcast with no integrity. You give people literally no reason to watch.
Yep.
Even the industry insiders aren't watching these tournaments a lot of the time, because where's the interest there? And if people like you and I aren't going to be watching the tournaments, who is at that point? 8,000 people out of the millions and millions of CS fans? That's the problem that we've got. The player base in CSGO has basically never been stronger. We're regularly hitting 1 million peak concurrence per day, like every single day pretty much at this point. And if not, it's 800,000. Top game on Steam, with a dying esports scene, where it used to be the other way around. The player base was maybe stagnating because of a lack of updates. However, the esports scene, we used to be able to boast that we had more esports fans within CSGO actually watching the games than players actually playing the game. That seems like a problem in itself, but go on.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that everybody talks about. Everybody wants to make those comparisons to sports, which is what I was almost glibly blurting out before when you're like, let's compare it to sports. I was going to say, yeah, everybody else wants to. The thing is, like, that's literally what you don't see, like, more players watching or more people playing football, like American football, than watching the Super Bowl, obviously. And that's an extreme example. Yeah. But like, that was a legit thing that CS had for a while. And I guarantee it's not the case anymore. And you can't, it's not just that everything's online now, which does take away some of this. It takes the wind out of some of the wind out of the sails. It's not as, it's just not as real, for lack of a better term. It doesn't feel as viscerally correct in terms of like when you're watching the game. But that alone does not explain the precipitous decline of viewing numbers that we've seen.
It's an easy scapegoat for tournament organizers.
Just like coronavirus was an easy scapegoat for NA teams pulling out, like, because of the certain future that we have in the North American space, the financial space or whatever. We are going to cut back on our investments. Yeah, but only in this game. We're actually going to increase investments in another game. Like, odds are you just read the room. And you know what? I don't even hold those people to too many grievances either, because if my business is literally making, my job is making money for my business, then I'm going to make the decisions that I think will do that the best. And I don't even know how you would make money off of the team side of things. Not anymore.
No idea.
Yeah, Flashpoint was an idea. If more teams had treated that somewhat more realistically, but then that's at the same time that did happen in the middle of coronavirus, which has some impact, but nobody bothered to assess how much. Just like the NIP Anonymous thing, where nobody figured out exactly how much lag there was, Squid. We also don't really know how much money we lost because of the COVID pandemic. And nobody will really ever know. It's untold billions, probably. But the point is that a lot of teams have pulled out. That leaves, especially North America, on shaky ground. You're talking about the CIS scene as a whole being corrupt. And you mentioned earlier that ESIC has a responsibility to forward this to local authorities. I don't think they're going to do anything over in Russia. Like, I just believe pretty strongly that like this is like it's not to make value judgments out of people's like people who run things over in Russia, but if anything, they probably get a pat on the back or something. Not even a slap on the wrist. Just be like, good job, comrade. You did good job.
I like, by the way, just to touch on that previous point, I like the irony of blaming COVID for esports problems. A sport, the only set of sports that you can literally play online without being at the venue. The only sports out there, theoretically, that shouldn't be affected. And actually, there were numerous articles at the dawn of the pandemic when the shutdowns came into effect saying the pandemic is helping esports in such an amazing way.
That's where we got record viewing numbers for a number of tournaments and probably forever, actually. For a number of things, just because it was the easiest metric in the world to do.
For non-major level tournaments, absolutely, where you didn't have these drops in game, which was incentivizing people, and people just logged onto their home screen, watching the game, and then being counted as a viewer anyway. This obviously isn't happening with the ESL Pro League and all of these shit tournaments, and every single tier 2 tournament that you've got out there. You don't have those boosted viewing figures in that way. It's only the 5K or so view bots that they can afford is what's boosting this up. It's not the 100,000 fans who are just logged into CSGO fairly dormant at that point, which is bullshit, but every game developer does do this, so it makes some sort of sense, especially when you want to build up your product. It's not something that I would condone or endorse myself, but it's more understandable than literally paying for viewers to come onto your stream. This is the big problem that we've got, is the storyline flips as soon as viewing figures start going down. TOs will start spinning the narrative that, it's all because of COVID. Teams will spin the narrative, it's because of COVID. No, it's because certain TOs couldn't put their money where their mouths are. When it comes to projects like Flashpoint, projects like actual content projects, putting interesting ideas onto the table that will attract viewers. When I watch boxing and when I watch UFC, there's way too much interesting content to watch. I could spend all day watching boxing footage. You can't generally do that during the COVID period with CSGO. I
don't know if you've ever been able to, come to think of it. I don't think, like, people started to flirt with the idea that you should have more like pieces on players. You should have, I forget what they were called, the player profiles or something like that. So people, they had ideas, but when Valve stopped fronting that fell by the wayside. Then some TOs, notably Flashpoint in this case, did try to bring that back and do these player profiles. They sent film crews out even amidst the pandemic to a couple of select few players. They had Yakinder, they had, I think, Mantu from OG. They had a bunch of different people. So, like, in that sense, some TOs have stepped up, and I think Flashpoint in that sense saw a vacuum. But the fact that it got to that point where there was such a dearth of content to begin with, and then you get the copycats. I mean, to some extent, it's the quote of like an industry of followers, right? Like it's pretty accurate at this point. And you know what I'll always say is, like, obviously this is a perfect opportunity to break from the show, the current trajectory, and diss Relog and Grid some more. But I'm sure you'll take advantage of that. One of the things I did want to say is there was an interview that I watched at least 1 second of, where
a Relog interview.
Yeah. And where they had whatever team that Neo is on currently, or back then, I don't know how often that shuffles around. I can't remember the team, but I just remember that the guy who was doing the interviewing, like, they basically got their casters to do the interviews, right? So you got sometimes Eternal J would do one, sometimes I don't remember the gentleman who did this. I don't think that he was even like English as his first language. But he basically said, hello, and he's not doing a DomCasts impression, by the way. He said that, and then he's like, I'm here with a player who needs no introduction, and then proceeded to give him an introduction for the next 30 seconds. So the first minute of it is just some mess where he's trying to get through it, and then he talks about the play. It's like, you literally had the line right there. A player who needs no introduction. It's Neo. And then go into my first question. Like, come on, man. But no, for sure. Like, nobody does this content. Maybe they did that trial run with that and they realized, like, nobody's watching this. This is
so
junk.
There was this Relog Media leaked DM that I think was from one of their admins that I just leaked onto Twitter, which was previously leaked to me by somebody within the company, of him saying, I think actually a little while ago, oh yeah, we're going to do interviews, but only for the semi-final, grand final. Don't you think that this is the best opportunity to actually grow the brands of these players? What little viewers there are left, I'd like them to actually know who they're watching, have some interest, build some storylines. That's the weakest aspect of all of these tier 2 tournaments, is they aren't building any storylines whatsoever. What is the reason for anybody to watch these tournaments other than betting? And then when the integrity falls down, you don't have that either.
You don't even have betting. At some point, you're not even going to have betting, guys, because Paramatch, no odds, homie.
This is the saddest thing. It takes zero effort to plan an interview as a tournament organizer. Yeah, you don't even need to write it into the contract. You just say to the team, hey, can somebody get into this Discord after the game? We want to talk to you. Bring a camera. Make sure that you show up and speak English, preferably. And then get your caster to work another 5 minutes. You don't pay them properly anyway, so you don't need to pay them for this interview. And then at least we get some creative content. And an interview is basically the most boring form of content that you could ever make if it's not insightful, if it's not driving storylines. Yes, there's a way that you can do it where you touch on all of these aspects.
Yeah, just look at like the Frankie interviews or the James
exactly,
Bank, like anything,
or the Pr0nogo interviews, those semi-Pr0nogo interviews are actually
those are all right.
He digs fairly deep, but this is because you dig into their actual character and something unique about these people that makes them maybe a little personable to the viewer. The reason why so many people got into CS in the first place were the players who were streaming, the Pasha Biceps of the world, who would come onto Twitch, and this is why Simple's got such a big fan base as well. Not just being an elite level top player of all time, but actually streaming and being a little bit interactive with his fans. This is what's made him such a superstar, is people feel like they can relate to this guy. How do they relate to a name in the kill feed? This is never going to happen. And the fact that a lot of these Relog members of staff will share Siraction Slack's content and interesting content without sitting back and thinking of the irony of doing that. Why aren't we doing this ourselves? We own a fucking hotel with the players inside and we make zero content. How is this possible? How do these people exist?
It is quite amazing that Relog Media, the enterprising individuals, own the hotel the players are staying.
They own it. They might not own the hotel, but they at least own the premises, or rent the premises.
Operate the what is it called? The
shit business from within this premises. And they don't even interview the players who stay there. They've got Taco there right now, or some of the fucking players there right this second.
Yes,
and
the
they're
boot
not
camp
interviewing
facilities.
them.
That's what I was thinking of. They operate the boot camp facilities out in Serbia. That's literally every top team was there like 3 months ago or something. Like they could have
zero content. Zero content. They could have got one of these casters. They could have sweet talked him into coming over for free. We'll pay for your meals. We'll give you a bed. You come over and interview any of these casters, apart from the ones who actually cast the playoffs.
You literally could, if they really wanted to be super cynical, they could have just said, "Hey, you want an opportunity to interview Complexity Blame F while he's in the premises?" Yes. All of these casters would say yes immediately. Yeah, are you fucking kidding me? Will he bench press me? I'll wear a mask.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't me shitting on these casters. It would actually be a good branding opportunity for them. They should be saying yes to this opportunity.
They should be getting paid for it too, because it is content. Yeah, obviously. But if they didn't, it would be within brand for the fucking offices that we're talking about. Yeah.
But the fact that this isn't being pushed by either the casters or the organization is absolutely disgusting. I've been traveling this week to go and visit companies, to negotiate, to visit people's premises, to do content. Why can a company who boasts of having millions and millions of dollars not put fucking interviews together or any content whatsoever? This is what's killing our scene.
It's certainly a major component, the fact that we have nothing to look at. Like, there is no incentive to, I mean, people in the chat were talking about the solo casting at some of these shit tournaments, right? And that was something that you had ragged on them, both privately and publicly. Like, the thing is, even when you do these actual back channels, where I'll give a mad anecdote that nobody else can give you, because it's from the StarCraft mapping scene. So zero people know this anecdote, but I'm going to spell it out for you. I'm going to explain the whole thing. All right. So in the StarCraft mapping scene, there are these things called campaigns, these single player experiences. You play like a story, basically. It's from mission 1 to whatever the ending, say mission 10. And then you're playing through it. Now, there was always a notorious element, and this is probably easily like you can come up with this concept, or you can apply it to anything. There's this notorious element of a bunch of people would get band together and they'd be like, we're going to make this project, okay? We're going to make this project, and we're going to, we're going to need a few people to help out, okay? I need somebody to help out with like level design. I need somebody to help out with this. Well, the most notoriously like bad omen in a project announcement page or looking for help page was the idea guy position, because the ideas are the easiest fucking things of all time to fucking come up with and then try to execute on it. That's the hard part, is executing. You get somebody to actually do the work, that's fine. But coming up with the ideas, like, if you need help with that, you're in the wrong business. If you're trying to do something creatively, that's literally the lifeblood. It's like, yeah, I'm almost a human being. I just am missing a brain. Does anybody have one of those lying around? It's literally the same thing.
Relog have that problem as well.
So here's the problem, Squid, is that Relog apparently don't have an idea guy. Okay, that's the anecdote. They've got no fucking idea guys. Okay, and they need idea guys. So if you are a self-titled,
and in fact, that's wrong. They have lots of no idea guys. Lots of those.
Yeah, of course. If you're an idea guy and you live somewhere in the world with an internet connection, you might be able to produce content that would put these guys to shame just by virtue of it existing, because there is no content, because they apparently have no idea. Guys.
Well, let's put this fact into context. The fact that I'm very proud of is the most viewed clips in the world, in the history of Grid Sports and Relog Media. Any project that they've been directly involved in was me, dressed as DomCasts. The most viewed casting clip of all fucking time, as Sadicus would say, happened to be a fake caster. So congratulations, you cunts. Congratulations.
That got me, because I was expecting you to just say the DomCast video, but instead you go, the most viewed, me. I was just not prepared for that one at all. That was pretty good. But yeah, that is true. The DomCast video and the clips therein are certainly the most watched, as well as the most rewatched. People came back for that. That was never going to happen for the original content that they put out. Are you kidding me? Nobody's going back to those. Listen, we are the only people who have ever rewatched. And it's not really a rewatch as much as it is loading up every single HLTV game and watching the broadcast back. That's what we've done. But, nobody else watches those after the VOD hits.
It does make me proud that the most viewed content about their business is content shitting on their business. That wasn't the original intention. The original intention, was to prove a point, get them to change, to get them to feature interesting content. I want no part of it at any point, but there are plenty of people out there who can at least sit around. Why aren't they doing it themselves? Sitting around a table. What can we do that's interesting? And the answer is they do not care. They don't care about the scene. They don't care about making an interesting product. They don't care about making an interesting broadcast. They don't care about any of this stuff. They only care about betting money, betting companies, data sent to shit companies and the teams playing in the tournament by grid zone admission. Like, what the fuck what are they doing?
So here's the pill that nobody's swallowed yet, and maybe things that just people haven't noticed. So obviously we did say we were going to go through some of the news that came up and give some takes and talk about some info that nobody's figured out. Here's a take that nobody's figured out, okay? So you just mentioned that the only thing that these companies are seemingly interested in is related to betting. The question you have to start asking, there's that adage where if you don't know what's going on, follow the money. At least in finances and in businesses, that's what you can use to get ahead if you're trying to conduct some investigation or figure some information out. So follow the money. Here's the thing. If there's no money, because there's no content, right? If nothing's coming in from the broadcast side of things, if the broadcast is actually a loss leader by all accounts, or at the very least they're breaking even because they're paying so little or whatever the case may be, you have to ask, where is the money coming from? Where is their bread being buttered? Exactly what is the source of their cash? What is injecting them and keeping them above ground? And that has to be the betting, right? That has to be the brand sponsorships, like, Paramatch for a lot of these tournaments, like I think it was 1xBet or yeah,
for ESL tournaments, it's 1xBet.
Which that's its own fucking dark fucking rabbit hole.
We can talk about that at some point on another show.
Yeah. So just a mention of them, like, there are these betting companies that are handling the general sponsorship, getting very ingrained into the scene and seen almost as these like endemic, even though a lot of the times there aren't endemic, esports bookies, right? They're just seen as this like perpetual space, right, within the scene. Everybody seems to know them. So what gets me about this, particularly when we go to TOs, like one of them's up there, right? The TO is right up there above my head, European Development Championship. We've gone to these people and we've said, hey, you guys don't have any content. We can help you with that. It's a step above what you did specifically when you submitted a letter privately, back-channeled, respectfully, but firm and harsh, and explained where that you thought that Relog was doing wrong and what they can do better. One of your propositions, make some fucking content, boys. You got the people, you got the players, you got everything you need, you got the ingredients. So why don't you do it? Why don't you make it? You even have the fucking facilities for a lot of these people, right? As part of the sweetener of them using your boot camping facilities, you could easily leverage, say, hey, can you just spend like on one of your media days after the player's done with everything? Maybe you can send them over for a quick interview or like some content that we'll be a part of. You don't have to make a big deal out of it, but it would be something, and it would be an opportunity for you, and to not just be a joke at the tier 2 level. It would be an opportunity for people to like, you could incentivize the teams to make vlogs or something like, hey, we're at the Relog Media Serbian boot camping facilities and day 3 of our boot camp, whatever the fuck, like, try to get that content out there. And this is also where we have to, in some ways, bring in the teams themselves, because a lot of the teams just don't create content. You get very, very rarely you'll see any content. That Extremum team is actually the most recent team that's come into the space that's actually bothered to make fuck all for their team. And unfortunately, they gambled really, really poorly on the team itself, since they don't seem to be doing fucking anything. But, the content seems to be coming out at a pretty regular pace over there. So, that's something that you might want to keep watch of if you're a fan of any of those players like Bentet or whoever. So just a random shout out there. But obviously, when you're literally back channeling this stuff, and then you and I, myself with a platform that content is released on regularly, literally goes to a TO and says, how about we make some broadcast ready content for you? How about we fill up some of those long delay spaces where you don't have anything to throw, you don't have anything to fill? Okay, here's a long form interview, 30 minutes gone. Now you don't have to worry about an ad or like a one of those little spacers there that just has nothing but your sponsors and your countdown timer and the match score or whatever. Like, that's nothing. Nobody's interested in that. Nobody wants to look at that for longer than 1 second to actually get the useful information. Keep that off to the side or something while again, admittedly, it would probably be like it would be like this boilerplate stuff that just is there to keep viewer attention. It would be equivalent to like the fucking surf and chill at ESL that triggers me every time. But all that stuff aside, like, we could literally create this stuff. Like, and I am nobody. I'm literally like, I'm who? And I can create this stuff. So the fact that like I could literally roll up to a TO and say, in addition to casting your tournament at a reasonable level, especially given the amount of time I've been casting, hey, you know what else I can do? I can generate content for your broadcast. We can go into analysis. We can talk to players. We can talk to support staff. I'll get stuff that literally will be exclusive to your broadcast. Another reason to watch your tournament. And for all of these TOs to say, no, not interested, to just say, to give you the runaround, which is the polite way of saying, no, not interested. Say, I'll talk to you in a week, and then not show up. That's the response that we've gotten time and time again. And I wasn't planning on calling out EDC for the talent argument or the content argument, but that is a legitimate grievance that viewers should have with a lot of these TOs, not just at the tier 2 level, but just in general. The fact that we had to wait so long for tier 1 content, and for that to even now, it still takes too long between pieces of content in my mind. It's still pretty stupid that we're getting the same recycled shit from every ESL tournament. Like, they've regressed to the mean, it seems. So I don't know what you make of this, but there's got to be some way to get content out there, or some other way. I mean, I don't know. You certainly shouldn't have solo casters on your broadcast or whatever. Like, there's a lot of grievances you can have with this tier 2 stuff. But if there's no reason to watch the broadcast, then obviously the question has to be asked, why watch the broadcast? And if there's no reason for the TOs themselves to make the broadcasts better, then they have to just not be using them for anything. That was my main original point, is that these TOs are getting their bread buttered with betting. They don't really give a shit about the broadcast, as they demonstrate through their actions. Once you put those pieces together, it becomes a lot weirder to then understand, like, wait, as a caster, I'm literally negotiating for pay from a TO that doesn't even care who casts. And I'm also dealing with, like, who are these people? What are they even doing? Like, what are they exactly doing in the space? Like, why are they even here?
Yeah,
They're just here for betting. Is that real? Like, that's what it feels like for me.
It is true.
Yeah,
no, and that's because it's just a fact.
Yeah.
Like half these TOs are just here for betting. Apart from an exclusive few at the top, you could say ESL is one of these companies, Flashpoint one of these companies, Blast one of these companies. Might be missing a couple. I guess CS Summit is definitely one of these companies who prioritize content and interesting broadcasts over betting, and that's why they've been so successful in this recent.
That's why
RMR
it was
event.
even despite all the drama that we had from the RMR events from CIS and the people that were overly invested in shitting on Flashpoint. It was like thread after thread, day after day, hit to the top of Reddit. Look at this funny clip from CS Summit. I love CS Summit. CS Summit appreciation thread. So if you're going to go by that for any metric, like, yeah, they were well received. And it's because they actually had they had skits and they had obviously personality on the, they had a reason for fans to tune in. That wasn't just the games that those fans put bets on. You could, in fact could be a non-betting viewer and still watch. Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking radical.
Here we go, Darian. I'm way ahead of you with this.
Okay.
I've obviously been casting now for 4.5 years, whatever it's been. I've done
4.5 seconds, so I'm almost there.
Yeah, practically. Yeah. I've spoken to almost every single tournament organizer out there about content, and I get the same excuse every time. Oh, if we do content, that's pretty cool and everything, but we can't sell it. Which I found out recently after making one fucking video that's the most embarrassing excuse in the world. I've been in negotiations with 5 separate organizers or organizations and sponsors, etc., who want to make content similar to the DomCasts video that's been put out, and similar content that's been pitched to a flurry of very elite companies. Are you really saying that a single guy in his office in the middle of nowhere can really pitch to bigger and better sponsors than you as a multi-million-dollar company? These companies should be embarrassed that their sales teams are being outperformed by a 22-year-old idiot or apparently that's what Reddit and X-Warrior says, from
your Twitter DMs say over 30, so you better watch.
Yeah, or I'm over 30. Maybe that's why they're putting their money in, because there's lots of integrity if you're over 28 or whatnot. I'm not too sure, but the fact that I can supposedly, by their own admission, outsell these companies should just be the biggest embarrassment of all time. The fact that they haven't found a way to monetize content means that
they just haven't tried.
The very few times that they did try doing content, it was boring. It was shit. These No Sweet Snow interviews at the start of this year were dog shit. They were terrible. The interviewer would show up not having any questions prepared, not knowing the guest's name some of the time, not having the basics of interviewing even nailed down. Sure. You actually have to have interesting concepts, which inside a hotel, this is why I'm so angry at Relog Media, because they've got so many resources to produce interesting products, but they're choosing not to. Yes. They're choosing not to make interesting content, which is the saddest thing. They hold a soft monopoly over this scene. That's why when I've been doing interviews with Inven recently, one shortly to come out as well, with The Score, this is what I talk about every single time, that companies never invest in their own products. They don't invest in the CS scene, and this is what's killing it. Maybe if one company was the front runner, and it was promising, it looked like Flashpoint might be this tournament for the time being. This RMR event comes through. They have the almost the shittest luck in the world again, where they have this massive drama. It's been tough, hasn't it? This drama that overshadows their whole event, which in general was a pretty good event. I wouldn't say it was one of the best events of the online era or all time. Maybe of the online era, I'm not sure, but it's certainly
probably in the top 10 legendary,
at least. Yeah, exactly.
Which it doesn't sound like high esteem, but then you remember we had like a fucking new tournament every week for a while, so there's
we've had
pretty
hundreds
large
of tournaments. Yeah, we've had hundreds and hundreds of tournaments. They definitely rank in the top 10. The problem is, nobody is investing in this content. ESL is starting to open one eye and doing these pool casts and a bit of content on the side. I think they have to be taking cues from content creators, and actually
and fair fucks, I did criticize
people.
them earlier for doing the same thing, but I also haven't watched anything of IEM Summer, so maybe they did change radically there. Haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
So.
And this is the problem that they're having time and time again, that a viewer will only tune in for so long before they just tune out forever in many cases. And maybe if the major is the first LAN tournament back on the market and people say, oh, wow, a world championship, I remember these, they were kind of good, and it really makes an impact, then maybe we claw back some of these viewers. But people they're habitual, Darian. They'll only come back if they've got good tournaments every week, every couple of weeks. It's like football. When they're putting on a good show that they recognize every single time. That's what we had in CS. It was the carnival, the traveling circus, where, yeah, the same teams, they go around the world in a different city every week a lot of the time and putting on a show. That's what we had. We don't have that anymore. We're not even putting on a show.
The worst aspect of the complete dearth of content is, as you mentioned, like, companies getting outsold, strategized by 22-year-old man in his output, just his little outpost here of an office. Well, that is true. The next thing, right, is like they have. When I said they haven't tried as my interjection, it's because they don't even, they're not even
somebody
interested.
with this on his wall. Look, I've got wooden beams coming out of my wall,
can't see,
and I'm out.
You're trying to expose yourself, and you can't. There it is. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. His greatest embarrassment when that shows up in the middle of a camera segment on broadcast. Never look for that. Yeah.
This is the production quality that they're being outdone by.
And the thing is, Squid, is like, your frustration is they could do so much better than either of us if they tried.
Way better.
But they have no interest in it, because even if it does make them some money, even if it gets them some eyeballs, there's the idea of, like, obviously cooperation versus competition. Like, what is there something that's going to be a competitive advantage for you that you're going to take? At what point does it start to become, like, morally wrong or whatever? Or at what point does taking that competitive advantage somehow compromise the overall integrity, we'll say, of the competition itself? And that's the thing here, is that the more these companies do this kind of thing, the more times you have these companies produce zero interesting content, quality broadcast the whole way through. Sometimes even just go full Epic LAN and just say, fuck it, man. Like, oh yeah, we're going to completely fuck up our whole tournament. It's only the qualification for a major, but bet on Akuma anyway. Oh, we're going to leak GoTVs to your NAN. Like, that level of shit. Like, occasionally you'll get that where it's just so obvious you can't even fucking come back from that one. But at the very least, like, the more companies that are doing this, that see this approach and think that it's good, like, sooner or later there will be nothing to even broadcast to. Like, what are you going to do? Are all of the viewers going to be bots eventually? Is that where we're headed? Because that's what it seems like. It seems like we're already past the threshold of that's the majority. And, like, what do we do at that point? Where do we go when nobody real is actually watching these tournaments? It will have a trickle up effect where eventually people are just going to tune out wholesale. And that's already started to happen anecdotally, sure, but it's happening. So get your gifts out. But it's just ridiculous. Like, what do we even have to look forward to if there's no reason to tune into the broadcasts unless you're a bettor? And then there's no reason to even bet anymore because you're inviting Akuma to your fucking RMR again and won't take bets for that. And then, like, how long before that becomes a widespread practice? How long before these companies, who aren't just esports, by the way, who have successful businesses outside of esports, say, I actually don't think it's reasonable for me to have to cancel my bets every time there's a DDoS. So I just think I'll just not, like, it's just not worth the effort. Like, at what point does it become not worth the effort? Well, it becomes not worth the effort when people stop getting interested, because it's kind of a cyclical thing where bookies are pulling out, so less people are betting, so more bookies are pulling out. It's basically the same runaway effect we had with NA pulling teams out and stuff. So, like, I fear the same thing could happen. And while I'm not really massively a fan of betting, and I don't think it should be involved as sponsors for the broadcast, I think that's actually a pretty bad, like, if you, especially in the CIS context, like, it's a pretty bad conflict of interest that people just don't know or don't care about. But even if you do like betting, or regardless of your take on betting, it will be pretty bad for the companies that are relying on that betting money. They will just no longer have tournaments. And that's where this has led us. We have no genuine interest. Everything's been astroturfed with bots and fucking, like, friend of the company's owner or whatever, like, commenting on Reddit and shit, like, or whatever the case may be. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just where we've gotten ourselves, not just in esports, I guess in general, as a broad cultural trend for the modern age. But it's pretty bad when you have these betting companies considering, just, well, we might as well just blanket ban this whole team and just never get them. Like, again,
Exactly.
the odds of that being a very isolated case are pretty slim. Like these companies don't really deal in like edge cases or whatever. They just want to be able to do hands-off profit, which, okay, yeah, it's understandable given where they come from. And it's also something where in traditional sports, or maybe in sports run by a certain authoritarian developer, they don't have to worry about this kind of shit just not going unpunished blatantly. They'll just wait for the ban to come in, and then they don't have to deal with it. So yeah, why would they go through the added pressure to do something like run your bets for a game that doesn't even have that many viewers anymore? Like, at what point does it even? We're closer to the brink than we think. I'll put it to you that way. I'll recycle the line from all those climate scientists. Closer than ever.
Brilliant. And we're not just knee deep in this betting scandal.
At least balls deep, Squid. At least
we're nose deep, where we don't have any tier 2 scene without these betting sponsors.
Yeah.
Because an actual sponsor who relies on eyeballs, that relies either on ROI or at least getting their brand out there, isn't going to be getting that from any tier 2 tournaments because they're so uninteresting. Nobody's going to be watching them. Which normal sponsor who isn't selling fucking trading cards or getting literal free advertising or incredibly cheap advertising, to say the least, is going to be regularly putting in this money to be partners sponsors with these tournaments? In the previous years, we've had companies like PaySafe and fucking eBay putting their brands on the line and saying, okay, right, we'll sponsor this CSGO tournament here. But that isn't generally happening outside of ESL anymore. We're not getting tier 2 sponsors bringing in external sponsors. Relog Media cannot keep a sponsor for more than 1 or 2 tournaments. Past the date of expiry of the signature, these sponsors are just walking out of the door forever.
Yeah.
No, of course they don't, because they see the quality of the product. They see that it's a solo cast and that all of the press for these tournaments are terrible, are atrocious, the worst of all time. If I was challenged to run the worst online CSGO event of all time, it would be better than Epic League, for sure.
Okay,
There's no way you could have a tournament any worse than that. There were allegations that this is so corrupt that the admins must have been involved, that this team is blatantly cheating. Why is nothing being done? That you've got conflicts of interest. I know that we're rehashing old storylines once again. Only 2-week-old storylines, might I add. And it's already fading out of the public domain. It's been reignited by this Akuma idiot admitting to the crime in a news post, and the Akuma players then saying, okay, well, I know that there are suspicious cheating allegations out there, and there's actual betting done by our boss, but we're not involved at all. For match fixing to exist, they had to be involved. There's no way. By definition, they had to be involved. At least a couple of them. And where do we go from here? There seems to be no way. Well, the only way is up at this point, surely. But without some TOs actually pushing the ball out there, and companies like, how is Extremum making the best fucking CSGO content out of any team owner? Like, NIP has made a little bit of content, about around the device signing. They do make some content, but them being outclassed by pretty much every single content creator out there just shows that they need to hire some of these fucking guys and stop getting clowns through your door to ruin your social media and literally produce the same recycled garbage content over and over again.
If you produce any content at all. Which is the
exactly. Some of the best content that's popped has been these double pony guys who basically, if you haven't seen it, it's like a meme animation with faces on and whatever. It pops on Reddit. Every time they make a post, it goes to the top of Reddit because they've thought outside of the box, even slightly. But yeah, we've been talking about content for about an hour now. Maybe we should shit on EDC. Or maybe we should talk about the score first. Maybe we should close on EDC.
However you want to do it, man. I already thought we were going to be here for less time, so the sweat is rolling. I'll say that much. The camera
I'm in the hottest room in the world, so you have got that.
There you go. Well, at least I know. Well, you're also wearing a fucking hoodie, so you're just Weirdo.
Yeah, I'm not taking it off on stream. Fuck them.
There we go. Well, one thing you can do
really
on stream is talk about the Score esports and the video that they recently released called oh shit, I should have had this prepared. I was just gonna like read off some completely unrelated.
It's doing relatively well. I'm happy with it. What did you watch this? What did you make of it?
Oh yes, the video.
I've been away pitching and shit.
So the thing is, right? It has gotten quite a few views, we'll say. I just have to queue it up here and then not get it to play for me because, of course,
yeah, it's got over 200,000 views. My goal, obviously, when we went into this project, I said I want 100,000 people to see or hear about this project. We've smashed that number, which I'm ultimately massively happy about. It looks like as a result, not as a result of this Score video, but as a result of the video initially coming out, that we'll be able to have funding to make many, many more of these and on a bigger scale, which I obviously tease in this Score video, that I also tease in a couple of the written interviews that I've done for other websites. So that's something that I'm mega excited about. But yeah, what did you make of this thing?
So the thing is, the video is just some guy explaining the video. There are some snippets of, a follow-up interview he did with you where there is additional context given. It does spend a decent amount of time talking about the scummy practices of the TOs themselves and the fact that they do really poorly handle talent. They put them into really shitty working conditions, like having to cast a best of 3, sometimes more than one as a solo caster, already ridiculous. So yeah, you laid it out in that sense. And thankfully the host did focus a decent amount of attention onto that. The problem is the bulk of the video is just a retelling. It's just it's like interpreting a tweet or something. So that's been my problem with most of the Scores content for sure. Is like the thing is, here's the other thing that I should have said at the beginning. Any criticism I have of this video is going to seem like you could read into it that I'm unhappy that they've got a lot of views and they used my video and that the only credit that they gave me was buried in a fucking paste bin link. But personally, I don't really care because, I mean, for one, I didn't put all the effort into the video. That was you, Squid. So if you're happy, then I consider the project a success in that respect. But for another, fuck it. I mean, I barely get, people vastly overestimate how much money you get from AdSense views or
oh yeah,
Google ad money on YouTube or whatever. So these guys turn a profit because they get some $250,000 views will probably be on this by the end of this week or whatever. So they're going to get some money. If you don't make that, then odds are you're not making that much. So
I knew what I was signing up for when I did this this Score stuff. The guy was really easy to work with. He was messaging me most days for extra context. Did I get this right? Did I get that right? Only some minor mistakes. I think the most grievous one was probably naming Grid slightly incorrectly.
Yes, Grid Talent instead of Grid Esports, which is a bit weird.
Yeah. Doing the affiliations and the contributions and whatever actually in the paste bin sucked a little bit, but I knew what I was signing up for when I got into this. It's not like these guys duped me and offered me an outrageously good deal and then didn't deliver. This is giving me everything that I wanted from the actual cooperation with this company or helping each other out or helping them out. To actually give some context for a video that they wanted to actually make. They reached out to me. They said, hey, can we make this video? I thought, wow, I'd love to. The DomCasts video had underperformed numbers wise. And I wanted this to have a big impact. And this is actually given it the impact that I really wanted. My Twitter and socials have been absolutely exploding over the last couple of days since this has. I think that our video actually doubled in views as of this Score release, and it's actually a way to get residual views over time as well, because people will click from one to the other. Obviously, we've had the initial burst at this point, and more press will obviously be picked up from it. But it's nice that this project that took so much time, effort, love, actually got the appreciation that I think it deserved, and obviously a lot of other people think that it deserved as well. So I was really happy to actually see the response from it. And yeah, that's all I've really got to say about that one. I think that I got everything that I wanted out of this. Yeah, it could have been even better with the contributions or whatever it is. And like a better way to
if you get banged up on that though, the thing that I've found is that it's that everybody seems to be talking about the word that ruined a generation being should. This is a quote from Thorin, but everybody's talked about this. So many people have talked about it. Like, oh, it should have been this. It should have been that. The thing is, like, if you focus so heavily on that, you will just be too jaded to literally do anything. You won't even be able to like consume media because this should be better than it is. You know, and like, well,
because push the fence out a little bit further, and if they did do all of these contributions perfectly, then people would be saying to me, "Oh, they should have given you a slice of the ad revenue. This is your video."
They should have linked directly to the video in the description. They should have posted a pinned comment that said "Donate to the Elo Heaven fucking Patreon." By the way, that's what they should have done.
They should have done all of that. So when you start pushing the boat out, it gets to an outrageous level and people just want a little more, little more, little more. The truth is, I got everything that I could have ever dreamed of out of doing this project. And probably I hope that we can actually follow it up. Yeah, and way more, in fact. Like, I expected people were going to hate it. Never in my fucking wildest fucking deluded dreams did I think that this was going to blow up and be the biggest Relog media content ever consumed. I didn't think that would be the case at all. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it's gone, and I got paid my 50 euros. So I make a slightly smaller loss out of this project until a company pays me lots of money. So you've got that.
There you go. So I guess the only question is that the only thing you wanted to talk about the Score Esports related or related to the DomCast thing? Is there anything else that you wanted to, I guess you kind of already talked about earlier. You you were in discussion, in cahoots with some companies, but nothing you feel like announcing right now. I imagine we still got to wait for more information on those. So I guess in that sense, close away, Mr. EDC, Mr. EDC representative.
Yeah, obviously we've been talking about EDC on social media this week.
I ragged on him for not having any content for like 20 minutes earlier too. So it's been on this show.
Yeah. Oh, directly.
Yeah.
No, okay, yeah, you've got that as well. Like, I had a conversation in our group chat with the director of EDC, with the guy who actually runs the majority of the tournament, especially on the talent side. And talked about this Akuma incident and said, like, listen, this is the information that's out there, kind of put it together for him. Are you going to make a decision? The response back was, yes, okay, we'll make a decision, but after any E6 statement comes out. If an E6 statement comes out, we'll act on it, which is pretty much a guarantee. Like he had hedged his bets that there was no E6 statement going to come out. Basically, the most damning E6 statement followed, saying that this Akuma CEO, previously unreleased information, we had no idea that they had obviously been betting on these games. I go back to EDC and said, what about now? Look at this E6 statement. And they play about, they fuck around and say, no, we're going to leave Akuma in these tournaments. We almost trust them in some respects. We are not going to be getting rid of them from this tournament. I will say this. I'm an ex-caster now because I won't work with any of these fuckwits again. I am an ex-caster of this tournament. I casted 10 seasons with these people. Don't bet on these games. They're unsafe. I question the integrity of allowing Akuma to continue playing in this tournament despite this evidence. I would say do not bet in EDC4 because they've ignored this, and you'll remember this very well. They have ignored other integrity issues in the past, which we brought to them with solid, conclusive, fundamental evidence. They've ignored it. Last time we brought this to them, I brought some evidence to them in January of something unrelated to this Akuma incident. It gets to Blast. And one day after, Blast take affirmative action. They fire the person responsible. It's dealt with in one day. 6 months of EDC fucking around with it, tit for tat, talking. Unbelievably just reprehensible behavior. Don't watch this tournament. Don't bet on this tournament. I won't be working for them again. I told that to them personally a month ago, a week ago. I told them it again yesterday, despite them trying to haggle with rates. Oh, how many dates do you want? Would you like 50%, 75% of the tournament? The answer privately and now publicly is no. I don't want anything to do with the product. I'd rather make content with some of the biggest companies in the world. Please fuck off out of my DMs. I don't want to work with you guys. Again, goodbye.
There it is. Especially
should we do the Buffoon Wall in a bit?
They have to be upgraded, don't they? That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can even peel them off of where you slapped them last
We'll see. Paint will come off of the wall, but shall we see?
Shall we see? Let's see.
Okay, I'll move over.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin the buffoonery you've all been awaiting. It is the Buffoon Wall. It's time. So, I'll be presenting it shortly as soon as my buddy Squid here gives me the go-ahead. And we'll be able to see who's going on the wall. Is anybody moving around? Is anybody getting taken off? Questions need answers. So let's take a look. Here it is, the Buffoon Wall. You can see it twice because there's 2 examples of text.
Jesus.
There we go.
There we go. I think this transition actually took longer than the last one.
It's okay.
That took
it looks better than the last one. So
does it? Okay, right. Okay, well, we've reduced the quality of one aspect and increased it in another area. So this is where the Buffoon Wall currently stands. We've obviously got these categories: reasonable guy. We've got retro, who's kind of in this category. A bit of a buffoon, complete buffoon, or mightiest buffoon. Obviously, EDC needs to be upgraded. They were complete buffoons last week. Paint comes off of my wall to put them in the mightiest buffoon category. And it's because the decision-making process behind leaving Akuma in this tournament, actual paint has come off the wall, doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Akuma can stay there because practically nothing's happened in relation to their story. They've just denied it again. They're keeping to their story, which I would say is maybe less buffoonish behavior than not having any excuse whatsoever. But let's move on to somebody else, because we do have the CEO of Akuma. What's his name again?
Alexander Shitshov.
Alexander Shitshow is right here. We've got him. Where does he go? Because obviously he's bet on thousands of games. He's admitted to the crime in a fucking text interview where it's there for life. Where does this asshole go on this wall?
I think he needs to join the August company of the European Development Championship in Mightiest Buffoon. What do you think?
I think he might even go to the right of Mightiest Buffoon, just because it's outrageous that somebody would admit to the crime in their defense. This guy's a total moron. Please don't kill me, because I'd like to make some more content. So
please do not bet on the game of Squid CS versus an AK-47 in real life. That would not be a good game to bet on.
So I've brought to the table a contentious one.
Okay.
ESIC, the Esports Integrity Coalition, as they like to call themselves. Where would you suggest they go on this mighty wall?
Okay. So for ESIC, here's the thing about ESIC. They had a lot of goodwill, as both Richard Lewis and Thorin pointed out on the most recent episode of By the Numbers. They said ESIC had a lot of goodwill after the coaching scandal broke and they were able to expose the coaches responsible. Since then, what have they done? They've fucked us around EDC style with a whole bunch of shit where they keep saying that North American MDL is coming, that report's coming, baby, FBI, open up, we got them, we're coming in. And, we're not coming in, actually. It's never coming. You'll never hear about it. One time you'll hear about it is after Valve closes the fucking game. Maybe then we'll hear about it.
After they've all left Valorant, perhaps. That would be a good time to announce this this NA MDL scandal has come to its conclusion. The biggest PR disaster, obviously, was Ian Smith going on that show with that nobody saying, going on the worst show on YouTube and saying that this will come out in 10 to 14 days, will have a significant update to this story, and then not being allowed or just not doing so. I think that's his biggest mistake. I'm going to put them right in the middle of the wall.
You think so? I wasn't done. I had more, but you can stamp. Who is that? Retro? Is that X Warrior?
It's this is X Warrior, who Warrior. I was going to promote to Mighty Buffoon, because he did call us out this week. He did say that we've been offered no jobs, which isn't true whatsoever. He's got lots of insider information, but let's leave him there for the time being.
Yeah, he's too busy getting ESIC tattooed on his head, apparently, so I guess that's fine. Yeah. I would have actually argued for ESIC to be moved up a little bit. It's actually
covering up the fuckwit tattoo that he's already got on his head.
I was going to argue for them moving up, but I think you probably are right to be a bit more conservative, just because like that Australian MDL banning stuff was a shit show. They walked it back, which was actually the worst part. It actually shouldn't have been walked back at all, but we'll see. They have a chance to redeem themselves. Not many more, however. So There you go.
Yeah, they probably only have one or two major disasters remaining before they lose the faith of the community. And once that's gone, we don't have anybody for a regulatory body. We should all be praying that ESIC do a good job, because if they don't, we don't have anything in this space, and we don't have a space whatsoever. We need to be praying every night at ESIC's altar and hoping that they do a good job. And they need to stop being such pussies, Darian.
Yes.
They need to stop being buffoons and actually ban some people for some actual crimes, and maybe stop waiting for XYZ to happen. Yes, if the FBI is involved and they have to halt this because people will be getting a ban instead of prison time, then yes, it makes some sense. But coming out with these bans earlier, sooner rather than later, they're decisive action on this Akuma incident with Epic League, who aren't an ESIC partnered organization. By the way, I love this little factor. I got shat on for this ESIC tweet where I was talking about Epic League allowing people who were banned by ESIC into their tournaments and getting told, oh, ESIC aren't a partnered organization along with Epic League. Obviously, that's practically been walked back in the whole scheme of things now that ESIC have actually made this statement, even though they're not partnered. So you have got this as well. Let's move on.
All right.
To NIP, because if you heard about this news this week, the NIP social media manager, or some buffoon, has been talking on social media. A couple of things. Firstly, he made this statement saying nobody talking about the CIS drama, and then basically 50 tweets of Richard Lewis talking about said drama. He had also called out basically the whole ESL stream for talking about this Young Ninjas team basically as a PR project, as exactly what it is. They basically read the PR statement and then said, okay, you've twisted my words. Exactly what Device does. They're obviously reading from the same PR handbook. Where do they go on the Buffoon Wall?
Here's the thing. I was already ready to put them pretty high up after the NIP Anonymous stuff, so I'm okay with anything right of center here. You can pick.
There they go. Just below, and to the left of the EDC.
Okay. That's some mighty buffoonery.
That is some, that's some mighty / complete buffoonery, verging on mighty.
Okay. They're on the precipice.
We have Starladder.
All right.
Where do they go on the Buffoon Wall?
Well, you know what? Their logo's a star. The Akuma logo, also something of a star. It's kind of like the shit stars I would draw in elementary school when I didn't know how to draw. Spoiler, I never learned how to draw. Starladder, fuck them up. Complete buffoons.
Okay, so you say complete buffoons, but along with announcing Akuma as... So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and actually give the counter argument here.
Here we go.
Firstly, I don't know how much power they actually have in terms of who they invite to their tournament.
Agreed.
I think they take their orders from Valve. I don't think they're responsible for that decision whatsoever. Previously, years ago, they've had problems with their business that I hope they fix in regards to talent payment, awful observing on their products. Yep. I hope that they fix that. Previously, they've actually famously fixed it mid-tournament. So I hope that gets repaired. And along with announcing Akuma, they respond to the CIS team's letter, 14 out of the 16 teams, of course, saying these are the changes that will be made. So I am going to put them...
Hold on. I got a counter argument to your counter argument.
Oh, shit.
The thing is, maybe they do take their orders from Valve. They're still the ones carrying those orders out. They're still the ones who have the power to say, Valve decreed Akuma must play. And because they didn't do that, I can't believe whether or not, like I can choose to believe whatever I want to believe about where their orders are coming down from, but they haven't confirmed shit. And they've invited these motherfuckers. They deserve to be with these motherfuckers in the same complete buffoon category. It's
unlucky that you are in another continent.
Ah, fuck.
Because I'm going to put them in the reasonable guy category.
That's pretty far from where they should be.
Guys, if you want to stay there, please run this tournament good. Let's not have a betting scandal again.
The important thing is that they are on the wall, and as we just proved with EDC, at any point you can be moved up. So
there are no rules because if you fuck about with this RMR event, you might find yourselves where the next bunch of people are going. It is, of course, the CSGO Redditors, Darian, who I've had quite a few run-ins. This is composed of many factions of people. You firstly have the the CSGO subreddit mathematicians who all have PhDs in mathematics.
Yes.
As soon as you come in with some complicated maths, these guys are there to shut you down and shit on you after only doing 1 minute's work before typing on their PCs. These people who I will be promoting this show to are complete buffoons.
Owned. Yeah, you'll get no argument from me. They can't be mighty because nothing's ever mighty, but you know how it is. And that was the Buffoon Wall. You can see it in a smaller view, and there's Squid. The Buffoon Wall master. The wall maker.
The wall maker myself.
There it is. Do you feel better? Have you gotten it out of your system?
Oh, yes. I had basically engulfed a Red Bull before today's show. And a lot of fucking heat, supposedly. Yes. I am dark red. I'm the same color as my shirt.
You're getting there.
Like camouflaged. This is Squid camouflage. So,
is that the next, that's the next video, of course, is this camouflaged caster. Whatever the fucking score video was.
Snuck.
Yeah. They thought he was his chair.
They thought he was a shirt, so they let him into the event.
They didn't do any research or look for the social media of his shirt. Don't worry. It's fine.
It's true.
There you go. So that was the show. That was On the Shelf. I don't think we have any final words or even prophecies or premonitions for where it's going to go next.
Not really.
It's all shit.
It's overrun as it is. No. I thought that this show was probably going to last about 45 minutes. I think we did probably about an hour and a half or so. So yeah, I'm pretty much done for today. Relog Media are share, EDC are mighty buffoons. I wasn't going to do a Buffoon Wall segment, by the way, today, but I heard from EDC themselves that they were such big fans of the Buffoon Wall that I decided to do an honorary segment today just for them. So you're welcome.
Yep. Even when we don't work for you anymore, you're still near and dear to our complete buffoon and mighty buffoon sections of our Buffoon Wall. You fucks. Bye.